Hello everyone and welcome to day number 22, and today we'll be talking about two-step equations with rationals, so basically with fractions or decimals, right? So I went ahead and I actually created this video and my computer froze on me, so I'm not going to solve each problem with you. I'm just going to review them with you just to make my life a little bit easier. So page number 1 is going to look like this. You'll have some equations and you'll have clues on the bottom. Whatever clue you think goes with that particular equation, you'll drag drop that clue number to the top. Okay, so let me just show you what that might look like. All right, you may get an equation here which says negative 6x plus 3 equals negative 27. So if I was solving this, the first thing that I would do is the inverse of plus 3, which is minus 3 on both sides, and that's what Katie says. Okay, Katie says the first step to Katie's equation is to subtract 3 to each side of the equation, so I would drag drop Katie's name to the box. The second one here is x over negative 3 minus 4 equals negative 24. The first thing that I would do is the opposite. I would add 4 to both sides, and that's what Zaire says. He says the first step to Zaire's equation is to add 4 to each side of the equation. So I would drag drop Zaire's name to this box here, okay? All right, so page number 2 looks something like this. You'll be giving 2 equations, and then you'll be giving steps in which you would solve that equation. So I would do it on scrap paper, and then I would drag drop the order of the steps that you followed into these boxes here. Okay, so I'll show you basically what that looks like. So if you had a problem like 1/2 x plus 4 equals 8, the first thing that I did was I subtract 4 on both sides, and that's this step here. So this would be my first step, right? And then I would get 1/2 x equals 4, and that would be my second step. And then, I would multiply on both sides, but in this problem, you can divide both sides by 1/2. So that would be step 3. And if you did that, you would get x equals 8, which is step number 4. Okay? I'll show you another problem. So this problem here says x divided by negative 3 minus 4 and 25/100ths equals 12 and 25/100ths. Well, the first thing I would do is the opposite. X wants to be alone, so I'll go ahead and I will add 4.25 on both sides, which is this step number 1. And then I would get x over negative 3 equals 16 and 5/10, so that's step number 2. And then I would multiply negative 3 on both sides. Cross this out. X equals 16.5 times negative 3 is 49.5. So here are steps 3 and step 4. Okay, so these other steps here, they don't apply. Okay, all right, so the next page in today's assignment looks like this, and you'll have some equations that you need to solve on scrap paper in blue in the middle here. Okay, and whatever your solutions are, you'll look for your solutions in green, and you'll drag drop those solutions to each equation. Okay, and just remember that not all of the green pieces will be used. All right, so I'll show you what that basically looks like. So you may have a problem that looks like this. 2.5x minus 10 equals 32.5. The first thing that I would do is I would add 10 to both sides. All right, draw your line. 2.5x, bring it down because there's nothing underneath. Cross out your 10s. And then 32.5 plus 10 is 42.5. So x still wants to be alone, so we would just divide 2.5 on both sides. Cross out your 2.5s, bring down your x, and 42.5 divided by 2.5 is 17. So x equals 17. In this case. Okay, so here we have 2x minus 2/3 equals 1/3. X wants to be alone, so I will go ahead and add 2/3 to both sides. Draw your line. Nothing underneath 2x, so I'll bring it down. Negative 2/3, positive 2/3, cross it out. And 1/3 plus 2/3 is 3/3. I want you to remember that anytime you have a fraction where the numerator and the denominator are the same number, in this case it's both 3, that means 1. So I will change that to 2x equals 1. Now x still wants to be alone, so I will divide 2 on both sides, cross out my 2's, and x equals 1/2. Okay, and that would be my solution. So over here I have 1/3 x plus 23 equals 40. The first thing I would do is I would subtract 23 on both sides, bring down my 1/3 x, cross out my 23's, and 40 take away 23 is 17. Now at this point, I would just take my denominator 3 and I would multiply 3 on both sides, cross this out, bring down my x, and then 17 times 3 is 51. So that would be my solution, okay? All right, so the last page looks like this. You have 2 problems in A and 2 problems in B, and you have to solve each one on your own and figure out who made the mistake, and you would just put their name, for example, in group A, and just put the person's name who you think made the mistake, and then over here you would put what the correct solutions should be. All right, so let me go over some problems just so you can see what that would look like. So here we have Amy. She said that when she solved, her correct answer is 3.5. So let's see if she's correct. The first thing I would do is I would add 10 to both sides. I would draw my line, cross this out, and I would have x over 3.5 equals 1. And that's right so far because -9 plus 10 is 1, right? And the next thing I would do is I would multiply 3.5 to both sides, cross this out, I would get x equals, and 1 times 3.5 is 3.5. So she's correct. She didn't make a mistake, okay? She's good. All right, let's see what Ann did. Ann said that the correct solution is x equals -18. Well, let's see. We have 1/2 x minus 7 equals -43. The first thing I would do is I would add 7 to both sides. I would draw my line and I would bring down my 1/2 x, cross this out, and -43 plus 7 is -36. So that's right so far, okay? The next thing I would do is I would take my denominator of 2 and I would multiply both sides by 2 and cross this out. And I would say, oops, x actually equals -36 times 2 is -72. And that's the correct answer. So Ann made a mistake. She got x equals -18. So what she did wrong was, instead of multiplying 2 on both sides, she divided 2 on both sides, and she got -18, which was wrong. That is her mistake, okay? So go ahead and try to solve these equations for day number 22, and I will see you tomorrow in day number 23. Bye-bye, guys. Bye.